How's it going, boss man?
What's the word, man? How's everything?
Good, good.
Good, man. I wanna see how we can build this. Maybe we keep it going. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Hey, we can have a topic every week.
hmm yeah, that's and podcast topics are hard enough.
Mm.
hmm But
Yeah, it doesn't have to be full, like 30 minutes. I think one of them was like 45 or an hour we did one time. We could do like 15, 25, 30 minutes.
yeah, most likely that'd be a good point. So uh but I thought it was a pretty good series. But I think um one, were you able to record it? Did you get
No,
like the actual?
it's on your live, so I didn't get anything.
Yeah, but it won't. I don't know. I gotta check because it didn't download. So I was like,
I
I was
think
confused.
probably right after, I don't know, I never recorded one. I think right after you finish it live, I think it gives you an option to save it. I'm not really sure. Maybe if you Google it.
It's weird when I've done them for the videos, they've happened with no problem. But for whatever reason, I don't know. It's weird because I thought it was that easy, but I didn't see that option because I was looking forward to give that to you, obviously, and you be able to use. But it is what it is.
Try to
Um,
look for your archives. Because there's a section. It might be there. Maybe not.
I'm showing my age. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna see if some of these people, some more people join on. What was I gonna say? Yo, so I'm actually really considering that offer. I mean that property.
Go for it, man.
I'm actually really considering it. It's currently getting 4,600. It's currently getting 4,600.
Are they everyone up to date?
Yep. Even during COVID, he says. Yeah,
He
I
says.
know.
He says.
I know. So
You gotta trust, then verify. You can.
we shall see. Yeah, we shall see. But I mean, the property, like I said, was like extremely clean. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's very enticing. I will say. So who knows? But for that particular property, yeah, we'll see what he's talking about. I want to see if I can get a better price on it and try to save him the commission. Like if I can save him the commission on it, or like quote unquote tell him that, then yeah, we'll see what happens. But I I don't know. It seems like a pretty interesting opportunity, at least as far as the numbers, and at least as far as like the same equity that's being used. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Who
Yeah,
knows?
man. That's a good
But
one. Yeah, I think you should try to go for it if it allows you. If you're able to use the equity from the current one and jump over there, that'll be a good look.
ideally, and that's why we do it. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But who knows? Who knows? But it's always good to have you to at least run the numbers and like, you know what I mean? Like at least have somebody to bounce, some ideas off his. But real quick, uh what's kind of or what's the plan that, now since you've already gotten a couple of units, what's next kind of for you? Or like what are you thinking
Right
about?
now, what I'm thinking about right now is
Are you gonna do FHA again? I
not
know.
not right now, not immediately.
I
I'm
know.
thinking of getting something off market and using like 10, 20% down and hard
Right.
money. Hard
Yeah,
money.
you get used to that equity. You get used to that equity to the point where, FHA was great to begin with. Great to begin with, great to, to set you up. But I think once you're locking down, kind of a higher loan to value amount, It's when you've already tasted what it's like to, obviously come into some serious equity that you can do a lot of like some
Mhm.
serious moves with. It's hard to, go back there. So and the only thing about that is just because of the prices, at least, in, kind of North Jersey, if we find a great deal like the one that you sent me earlier for 300, that's pulling in, I think 25, 3,200, something like that.
3,700.
3,700 or so. Like that's,
Yeah.
that's not bad. So that's why I texted you. I didn't read your response. That's why I was like, what's wrong with it? Because it's like,
I
why
have
doesn't
access
he
to it. I
bother?
want to go check it out. Let's go.
Yeah. So like that would be perfect for an FHA buyer. You know what I'm saying? Something
100%. That's a
that
no-brainer for FHA right there.
no brainer, easy return.
And that's
Like,
close. That's very close to the train station. If you didn't see, that's like right there, walking distance.
and it and 3.5% on that is only 9 grand, or like 10.5, I think it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
$10,000, you know what I mean? Where like, for example, the renovated property that's next door to me is selling for, or I think it's going to be on the market for like maybe 4.25, 430. So you're talking, 10 and 14 grand or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just to get it popping, but I see some people are starting to log in here, so let's jump into this. And for everybody that's joining and coming through, thank y'all for coming on. We kind of been doing this kind of every Monday so far, just talking about, one was getting your mortgage process, getting what do you have to do to get a mortgage if you're thinking about buying. The second episode was about your actual home search and what to expect, with everything that's going on during COVID and things like that. And then today's episode is going to be on how me and Jonathan built our portfolios currently right around 15, yeah, right at 15 units, I think. You have 9, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you have 9, I have 6. So how we built the 15 units and what we can expect going forward, what we're looking to do going forward. Um, Hopefully, I'll be able to match Jonathan in a few, but right now he's got me by 3 units, which is awesome. So let's talk about that, and you'll hear us all the time talk about FHA. FHA is I feel like at least, easiest way that you can get your start in landlording. Like, I don't know of any other better way unless you're in a market where the prices are extremely cheap for you to go ahead and pay for a property cash. How so? When you're going FHA, it is a great, great opportunity. And considering the fact that Jonathan is a mortgage officer and obviously used his own product for his benefit, I kind of want to give him the opportunity to just talk about how he built. Let's talk about just the first 6 units. Let's talk about, just how you manage the first 2 properties.
Yeah, definitely. Just to point some things you pointed out, I say FHA is definitely the best route if you want to get into investment. You want to get a little taste of it. You don't want to put too much money down. If you don't have a home, 100% buy a multifamily with a FHA. You get a feel for it. You get a feel for a landlord and get a little taste of it and not as much money down. So the first property I bought we closed in December of 2017. That was a 3-family. I bought it with FHA with my name. So back then I wasn't aware of the seller's concession and any of it like that. So I put
What's
three
the
and a half.
seller's concession? And break down just like, how much money you needed to close. How much money do you need to purchase a home with FHA?
So FHA, you need 3.5% down. So for example, a $200,000 house, that would be $7,000 in down payment. Besides the down payment, you need closing costs, which can be attorney fees, title search, your escrow, which is basically you need 2 months of insurance and taxes into the escrow itself. You need application fees and mortgage fees and things like that. Usually, escrow can be around, depending on the taxes and things like that, it could be 3 to 4%, depending on the area and depending on things like that. So a lot of people like to add closing costs into the mortgage, which is called the seller's concession. FHA allows you to add a seller's concession of up to 6%. So a lot of these deals you can buy with just 3.5% down. So $200,000 house, you get your down payment, $7,000, and add that seller's concession into the mortgage for your closing costs. But the only caveat is the property needs to appraise for the higher value in order for you to tie that seller's concession into the mortgage.
First property was well, obviously, since all your properties are 3 families, right?
Yeah.
All right, so triplexes. All right, so we have 3 families. Some areas they call it triplexes. Whatever the case, 3 units is taken advantage of. FHA covers up to 4 units. So right off the bat, you can get up to 4 units, putting down 3.5%, which is gold, right? So all right, so you bought the first one, that's 3 units. You bought another 3 units, so how do you go from 0 to 6 units, like in that fashion?
So the first one I bought it in my name. I was getting the itch. I didn't even have tenants in my property. I was getting the interest to get another one. I was just fixing it up, painted it, doing sweat equity myself. I built a wall with my realtor, actually. He's also a contractor, so he helped me build a wall and add a bedroom to create equity within the home itself and get higher rents. And then a couple months later, I got the urge, and the missus, we weren't married, so she got an FHA under her name, and we bought a 3-family in the next year.
Oh, awesome.
We would have closed faster, but that was a little issue we can discuss.
No problem. It is what it is. All right, so boom. 3 units, come back, another 3 units, come back, and now we're at another 3 units. How did you find this property? How did you fund this deal? Like, how did you? The third one, because now the nice, the most recent 3 units are. How did you buy it? Did you do conventional 20% down? Did you pay with cash? Did you? So again. All right, so let's break it down. That's my favorite topic.
That's my favorite topic as well. So basically,
how did you become a first-time home buyer twice? Actually, 3 times.
So FHA, basically, you can use FHA multiple times. You just can't have 2 FHA cases at once. So basically, the first one, I refinanced. I had enough equity. A year later, I refinanced into conventional. So that freed up my FHA. That allowed me to purchase another home with an FHA. I went to another area, and I was able to buy another multifamily in that area. So FHA, you need a few rules. So basically, I wasn't able to buy in the same town a 3-family. You would have to go to another area, have a reasoning of why you're moving. Is a better living system, better school system. It's a bigger home. Is your family growing and things like that? You need to have a real reason on why you're transferring to another unit. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm moving up to a 4-family." They're not going to believe you. It's owner occupied, so you need to have a real reason on why you're transferring over.
Yeah. So I want to put some things into perspective, right? Because that's 3 properties, 3.5% down on each. Did you do a concession in all of them?
I only did a No, I did a. The last one I did a concession. I did more than I should have, but that's fine. The second one, I had a credit because of some issues. So at first, I didn't have no seller's concession. I was going in all in, just buying it as is, and then during inspection and things like that, I got a credit because of the issues we found.
Okay, so you just had to bring less to closing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna put some things in perspective because all the properties that I purchased, I got concessions on them, and for example, in your case, right? So let's take even if you take 3.5% on 3 properties at $300,000 each. To put some things in perspective, that's $30,000, right? $30,000, $31,000, $500. If you're with a partner or if you're working together with somebody or anything like that, which is why I'm always an advocate, for partnerships. In my course, if you can do it on your own, no problem. But the same way that, when we get into the bigger deals, which hopefully, obviously we're talking about 10 units on 20, 30 units and things like that, you need a partnership or some type of network where obviously I can come together and make it work. Now that might have to be your spouse, that might have to be your fiance, significant other, whatever the case. But if you split that in half, you're at $15,000. $15,000, and you're controlling three properties. And mind you, that's in our area. Our area is more expensive than a good part of the country, right? We're on the East Coast, we feed off in New York, our properties are high. People that are in much cheaper markets, the $100,000 markets, the $150,000 markets, when you're getting great product in a great location that's rapidly appreciating or rapidly becoming like more desirable, and you're seeing the development and seeing the construction. If you're taking, $150,000 for each property, you basically slice that in half. You slice that in half. So instead of $30,000, that's $15,000 total. If you split that with somebody, that's now $7,500, right? So $7,500 gets you three properties with FHA, right? So FHA 3 or even the first, we just use FHA because that's the cheapest down payment as far as 3.5%. But even if you're in the single family market that's booming, 3% down, beautiful. That's even better than FHA, and it's conventional. So that's the case. And then if you're in an area that, if you are going after multifamilies and you're putting down conventional, you can't do 3%, but you can do 5%. So at least 5%. It's better than putting down 10%, 15%, 20%. You leave as much money off of the deal as possible. And that way, that's how you create kind of the infinite ROI on that, opportunity while bringing those properties out. So it's really powerful to help you stack. And then once you get that equity, now using that equity to purchase another property, which can come into the form of like a line of credit, which is what I'm grabbing, which, 35 grand is another, 15 of it or 12 of it could be another FHA down payment. You know what I mean? Either that or, like we were talking about earlier, if I go after this next deal, taking the amount of equity that's in the property, which is about 100,000 or so, and literally converting that equity into another asset because that particular asset might produce better returns. And the one thing that I brought up kind of recently was also factoring your return on equity. And if you have, if you have a $100,000 or $150,000 in equity or $50,000 in equity, or whatever the case, that's sitting, regardless of the fact, it's still sitting there unless it's working. So if it's producing the monthly income, cool. But what's the net profit at the end of the month, at the end of the year? Because then that's going to give you an idea on how much of a return you're making on that equity. For example, and to finish it off by saying this, with the $100,000, so if you have a property that's you bought it for $200,000 and now it's at $300,000. You have $100,000 in equity in it. Now, say if that rental property produces $1,000 a month in net cash flow, which is great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, $1,000 can clear a lot of bills. It can make a lot of things active. It can change life. Like, removing your living expense alone can change your life. Mm-hmm. However, with the $100,000 that's in equity and you're making $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 on that $100,000. That's 12% interest or cash on cash return, I should say, right? Which in theory is pretty solid. It's better than the banks. However, like we were talking about earlier today, when there's an opportunity that's presented to take the same equity, move it into a different asset, right? If you sell that property, 1031 exchange, you don't have to pay taxes. But either way, if you're selling and moving that equity into another property, that now is with a major down payment, because now you're moving 100,000, which is a major down payment compared to you putting down your 3.5%. Your mortgage might be around the same amount, but you're gaining an asset that produces a lot more income. So when that happens, now instead of $1,000 a month, it's $2,000 a month. Now you're making 24% cash on cash return on that 100,000 instead of the 12%, right? So also, keep that in mind, because you just might be able to, use that equity to bring in more. Or you take it down south or out Midwest, you chop it up, and then $25,000 can get you 4 properties or whatever the case. You know what I
Before you
mean?
go out of
So,
town, do your research because you need boots on the ground and things
right.
like that. So 100%. But
So
yeah, you're 100% right though. Out of
I
town,
want to
the way
I
to
want
go.
to ask you. I want to ask you. You mentioned earlier, before everybody kind of started logging on, when I was asking about like what's kind of next for you. Um, Talk about just next. What's next? How you're going to be looking to try to finance these deals? How much down payment wise you're looking to do? Where are you trying to find these properties? Because you got 9 units now, so now you're about to crack into the double digits, right? So now at some point the personal financing starts to top out. The FHA qualifications start to get harder. You can't go after as easy. What's your plan going
Yeah,
forward
so
to find them?
yeah. When you have multiple real estate, when you own multiple real estate, it gets a little tougher and tougher to get residential lending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm planning on. I'm saving up, saving up. I'm ready to start buying with hard money, 10%, 20% down. That's my next goal. Rehab it and pull the cash out within the LTV and rinse and repeat.
Are you going to be looking in North Jersey as well, or
Yeah,
are you going to be looking
I
at?
wanted something in close proximity. I want to continue
Okay.
to manage my own properties, so I
Okay.
don't want it too far.
Interesting. Here's another, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. What do you think is the most amount of units that an individual can handle on their own before they bring in property management?
That's depends on the person, case by case scenario. If you have a lot of things going on, then I would say if you can manage it, 100%,
Mm-hmm.
give it up. But if you have the time and you're still able to manage it, you're not losing rent, you're not losing the property's not being vacant for many months, you're not losing money that way. I would say continue to move forward because there's a lot of months that it's pretty smooth sailing. I'm sure you're
Right.
aware of that. And there's
Mm-hmm.
other months that wait, it's over here, then this tenant and this tenant, and then you just gotta. And that's another reason why I wanna just fix it up myself, for it could be less maintenance for some time.
We were talking about that earlier, and that this other property, like I just know it's way cleaner. Obviously, I don't know what's gonna happen with when I go in there, but if you can see it cosmetically outdated, you can guarantee that behind the walls is gonna be outdated. And the second property that I bought is a little bit more on the outdated side. Produces great income, but eventually, I don't want it to be a domino effect where it's kind of a ticking time bomb where, it's going to be a major repair, because you have to factor those into your profit. Like if you make, $1,000 every month for 11 months, and then on the 12th month, there's an $11,000 expense, then, you know what I mean? Um, those are things to take into consideration. But obviously, you always have money to aside for repairs, and those things just happen. So it is what it is. That's no problem at all. Just making sure that doing preventative maintenance as well helps. But when you have that opportunity to kind of move that money into something that is more renovated and probably is more structurally sound, and utilities are a little bit more updated, you're at least just minimizing the risk as much as possible. Like it is, you know what I mean? Just to give you peace of mind and to get as much profit as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the last property I got, it was like well maintained, well maintained. Everything looks. My inspector, he goes. He's very picky with things. This one, he didn't call out. He called me after. Oh, this is a good one. I'm like, huh? Okay, thank you.
Really? And
Yeah.
that was the recent one that you bought.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm thinking, so
But
you're not
that's
thinking,
the same one that the furnace is going out. So it can look good. It can look good, but then there's always one little thing
right,
that,
right,
but that's fine.
right. So let me ask you this. What about now? So you have no desire to invest in like a cheaper market? Like I know some people, especially myself, where, the same way where you're looking to put down the 15, 20%, which is, I don't want to say the easiest, but when you have 20%, it's just easier to get into deals. You don't have to be as creative all the time, pulling in, people together and, you know, um, all those types of other creative financing. When you really have, your 15, 20% down, whether that's equity, that could be a line of credit, that could be cash, you can move a lot easier. But for example, in a market that's $150,000, 20% of that is going to be a lot cheaper than, in our market where,
Oh yeah,
uh,
100%. It's a few things come into play when I think of that.
mm,
Um, I need a team down there, so I would have to build a team wherever I'm going and things like that. Cheaper markets, cheaper rents. So the rents
wouldn't it
are
be all relative though? Wouldn't it be relative? Like, isn't it relative to, you know, your area? Like, I guess, it's all in percentages. So if you have, $50,000 and you're like, hey, I want to make a 10% return on this, and
Mhm.
you're asking the people that are down there and in that market, and it's just like, listen, it's a 10% return, crazy, and 10% being 5 grand over the course of the year, which divided into 12, that's $416 a month. Which for cash flow wise, that might work for you. Um, or not. I mean, obviously, I usually like to get a lot higher,
Mhm.
but and obviously with burrs and things like that, you'll be able to get a lot more. But wouldn't you say that it's all relative? Like the cheaper the market, the cheaper the
For the
rents.
rents.
But if your mortgage is 900
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
have a duplex that's bringing in a one 2 bedrooms each, they're bringing in $1,000 a month. Aren't you still at $1,000 profit? No.
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh.
But what I'm seeing like in Jersey, they continue
Hmm.
to work in Jersey. The rents continue to go up. The prices continue to go up. It's gonna continue to happen because they're doing a lot of work into Jersey. They're talking about adding a train line from Newark to Patterson. I saw an article. I could send it over to you. That,
Hmm.
that's that's yeah, that's pretty interesting. So it said the second and third biggest populated city. They're trying to add a train line to connect both or something like that. And they just continue to build the train lines that go into the city. Just continue to see people moving from New York City into Jersey. That's going to continue to happen. And when that happens, the rent's going to keep going up. The prices are going to keep going up. And it's going to be a little ripple effect. See, Jersey City is getting too pricey. Hoboken is getting too pricey. What's next? People keep shifting.
So East, I mean, I guess nowhere's too expensive in the long run, but you don't think that you don't think that North's tapped out. What I did realize is that the house that I'm looking at right now, which is basically 5 units of income,
Mm-hmm.
right at 480 area, but when they bought it in 2002 for 385 or like 382 or something like that. But basically only $100,000 cheaper that they buy. Now, obviously, with them not having to worry about paying the rent down and the tenants creating that equity and creating that equity, they basically turn whatever their down payment was into, depending on where I end up in purchase price, over 450,000. That's a good investment, right? So um it's interesting because that has me paying attention. Like, prices were here before, at least in Newark. Prices were here before, and if I bought something in 2002 and I got only $100,000 out of it, I'd be pissed. Only because I've seen what it's like to, go to $100,000 in 8 months. So
That property is definitely undervalued. You know they could get way more than the price point.
I'm glad you agree.
Hundred
Because I
percent.
was looking at, I'm glad you agree. Um, but we'll see what happens. It is, you know, whatever will make it a win-win. So it is what it is. But here's the interesting part, and I'll give everybody that's listening right now a freebie. This is a quick gem. I can provide you it. Any real estate agent can provide you this just through our system, at least for the people in New Jersey, or if there's anywhere that you're at. A great tip, which I just started right now, is one, if you go on your county's tax records, depending on your city, depending on your location, your county and city will label what type of property it is.
So,
So ironically, I'm almost mad to tell you, but it is what it is. We are here to share the sugar. I'm just playing. Bloomfield, New Jersey is one of those cities where you can literally go into the tax records and pull a list of all the 2 families, 3 families, and 4 families. Specifically, not just single families as well. And then at that point, skip tracing them, finding out their contact information, whether that's phone, email, address, you know, like their actual home address if they're not living in the property, and then finding a way to get in contact with them, whether that's a text blast, whether that's phone calling, as far as cold calling. And your simple question, honestly, is, were you ever thinking about looking to sell? You know what I feel like when I'm doing that? Like, a lot of people are like, I don't want to, like, you know, I'm scared of the phones and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm actually doing? And they're scared of the rejection, which the rejection you get over with quick fast. Like, once you find out that, you know, every 10 calls, 1 person is thinking about it at some point in time in the future, you'll make 10 calls all day long. I need to do more of it, actually. But obviously, that's working on the business. And obviously, I have to work in the business. That's the lead generation, right? So reaching out to every single person. And I feel no type of way about it, because literally what I'm actually asking is, do you want money? Like, do you want profit?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, do you want profit? They're looking for profit by any chance? Like, that's all that I'm looking to do. It might not sound like that, because obviously I'm not asking them verbatim if they want profit, but either me or someone that I know, or if it's a buyer that I'm working with, or me helping him market the property is going to bring that individual profit. So all I'm trying to figure out is whether they were thinking about making some money. That's it. Like, that's it. And now it's turned into 80 Belleville, which we're working on together. This dude who, you know, it's a 3-unit, but it has a finished basement and a garage that gets rented out, but like 5 units of income there. And it's like, I actually need to do more of it. Like, a lot more.
100%. It's just putting in the work, the following up, put that system in place.
Follow up.
It's a follow-up, because you're never going to get that yes in the first call.
Right.
Never.
Right. What do you think about, as we continue to think about ways to continue to grow the portfolio, what's your thought on Facebook ads and using Facebook ads to, you know, find people that are looking, you know, to sell or thinking about selling?
I heard Facebook ads aren't good for selling. They're more like a buyer's. I heard like other platforms. I've heard YouTube is good for selling, seller's ads. I don't know if it's true or not. But I've heard YouTube is you get a better return on your ad spend.
Here's what I text blast and cold calling, at least for me, I've seen some awesome progress. So for anybody that's listening right now, especially cold calling, and Maxwell, I'm gonna bring on another dude on the podcast soon. He's real big on cold calling.
100%.
But Maxwell, who's huge on cold calling, and I can understand why, because most people who are starting, they don't have much money. And I think the one thing that they do forget when they are spending money on marketing is that you really have to take it at like a 6 to 8 months marketing campaign. This is not something that, I know that some of the podcasts, they highlight the individuals that send out a mailer and then got a return that day or that month. So we do these things and we don't see a return, we give up. But all you're doing is just mining. Like, it's just getting the people that are interested. The first phone call is only for people, like, you're only looking to find out who thought about it and who's interested. If they're really like, let's do it now, then cool, no problem. But the first phone call is just to find out who's interested and their time frame. That's it. From there, it's the consistent follow-up from there. And cold calling, you can dial through so many numbers. You can highlight dialer system.
Do you have a CRM?
Huh?
Do you have a CRM to track all of that, or how are you tracking?
RealVolve. I use RealVolve. RealVolve is really good. And I use Yes.
Mojo's for the dialer, no?
Is it RedX? I use RedX. Vortex is the dialer, as they call it, I think. Yeah. So RedX. It's $150 a month. Having $150 a month, and it just goes through, like, I pick up the phone, it dials through the system, and I can get through a couple of hundred phone calls because there are a couple of hundred numbers. So that's why anybody that's like pulling a list, I recommend that you start probably nothing less, honestly, than like 2,500 to 5,000 like entries, like bare minimum. You know what? I'll say 1,000. Honestly, yeah, I'll say 1,000 because I got a transaction over 1,000. All right, so 1,000, at least 1,000 names, because the reality is 75% of them shits is dead leads or wrong numbers and things like that. And the remaining 30%, 20% is going to tell you to F off. And then 10%, out of the remaining 10%, 8% of them are not going to be, are not interested. And the remaining 2% of that 10% are either interested or will allow you to follow up with them. And those are the individuals that you want. So, yeah, man, that has helped. At least, we're trying to find ways to continue to grow the business, to continue to get some more properties under the belt. You know what I mean? As we continue this. So, yeah, man. Anything else?
No, let's talk about your situation. We talk about how I started off. Let's talk about how you build your portfolio.
The cool part about it is I followed the same kind of footsteps as you did. You put the first one in wifey's name, but the second one in my name. We're just ping ponging it. The next one is in wifey's name. This one, or the one that we're under contract on, is in wifey's name. The one that I was discussing with you earlier today, there's 5 units would go in my name if I would have, transfer the equity and things like that. And then, and then from there, it's just about, like, to your point, doing that 20% and 15% and, burn, because I don't mind the 20% or, 20%, even if that amounts to, if it's 50,000 goes in, cool, but I would like probably nothing more than maybe $25,000 in the deal or 20,000 in the deal. So that way, when the money's coming in, I have a better chance of increasing. If I can pull all the money out, cool. But I have a better chance of having a much better ROI.
What are your thoughts of, let's say you put 35 in and you leave in 10K in the deal. You get 25.
I'm fine with that. I do not need to pull all the money out because I'm buying a property for 10 racks. I'm cool with that. I'll do that all day. Twice on Sunday.
I agree. A lot of people want a home run for this first deal. It's not gonna happen. If you want a home run, you're gonna keep waiting on the sideline, and you're not gonna jump in. You could have jumped in this deal, got the experience, learn, network, and use it as a learning curve, and then to progress to the next one.
Right. Yeah. To your point, just to learn how to manage the game. And another point is don't worry about buying for equity. Like equity is a real cherry on top. Like the first two properties, I was not buying for equity at all. I only bought them because they made cash flow. At the end of the day, we wind up receiving the blessing of it appreciating the way that it did, at least in North, which is why for everyone, you obviously want to buy in fringe areas, as Armando Montelango likes to call it, buying on the fringe areas where you're not in the war zone, but at the same time, although the most gold is in the war zones, but you're not in the war zone, and then you're also obviously not in an A-class area where everything's crazy expensive. But do you want to answer Melissa's question? Melissa actually just closed on her second property. Her and her husband are following the same model. You know what I mean?
Right, that's amazing. That's amazing. So
Yeah,
what I meant by that is you're all in on a property for $35,000. When you fix it up, rehab it, and refinance, you only get $25,000 back. So you left $10,000 of your money that you originally used into the property. So you weren't able to pull all that money out because there wasn't enough equity.
And to put it in a numbers perspective, say if you bought a property, even if you just bought an FHA, you buy a property FHA, 200,000. So 200,000, your 3.5% of that is 7,500, right? 7,500. The property is now worth 350,000. So with Jonathan, and once the property appreciated, so now you call Jonathan like, hey, I want to do a cash out refi, meaning I want to pull out some of my equity while I still hold the property, while it still cash flows. I want to pull out some of my equity. Jonathan will say, okay, what's the property's worth? You'll say it's 350,000, and then Jonathan's company, what would you give? 75%?
Owner occupied, depending on the amount of units, it could be 80, 75.
Okay,
but
so roughly
3 or more, 75.
Conservatively, 75%. So Jonathan's company will give you another loan on the property worth 75% of 350,000. So at that point, 75% of 350,000 is $262,500. So they'll give you, it's like you buying your own house but paying yourself. So in this case, because you bought the property for $200,000, they give you a new loan for $262,000. That you then take out $62,000. At that point, you would get a check for it. So obviously,
you gotta put some money for closing costs. So not all of it goes.
In general, they also told us real estate was a rewarding career that you can work your own hours and make a limited income.
About 55, 56, you'll get, and depending on how much you owe, because you bought it for 200, but you put 3.5% down, so you really owe 193. So that's another one. Yeah, so you actually get more. So yeah, you might be right with the 60, 62.
All right, yeah. As we start our descent here, I didn't realize time was moving so damn fast.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah, and it's wifey time. So, I think as far as what to do beyond those first two units or first two properties, I think we're just all in the game of just finding the next deal, finding the next property. How can we move equity around? How can we use our current properties to go after more properties or to go after better properties? That's always going to be the grind of the business. So yeah, man, I'm good on my end. Maybe we can continue to do this on a monthly basis. We'll talk about, on a Monday basis. We'll talk about that on the side.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope people can get some value on it, but I'm good on my end. Anything for you?
No, I just want to say, if you want to get into investment, definitely use FHA.
I do.
I think we all do. Wifey just gave me a little boldness. Yeah, if you want to get into multifamily, 100% FHA, first time. It's a no-brainer. Cash on cash return is amazing on that. You get your feet wet, you get in the game, and you could use that as a stepping stone. Go on to the
Mm,
next one. Without don't try to skip 2 steps. Get your feet wet, get familiar with it, and then go on to the next level.
mm. We out here, man. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue
Yeah.
to find ways to keep adding to the portfolio. We're doing great. We got so much more work to do, but it's been game changing since. So, we're following the journey, man.
Mhm.
All right, boss. Be safe.
So
Thank
have a, yeah,
everybody
stay
for
safe.
tuning in. Hopefully, y'all got some value, some gems, something to go about. Just take action. Just fail forward. Don't take action. Go start immediately. Go do your thing. We'll be here as resources if you ever need anything. I think,
Yeah.
Jonathan, do you only lend in New Jersey?
Uh, my bank lands in New York, Florida, Texas, Connecticut, so other states as well. So I'll be able to help you in other states as well.
Okay, no doubt. I'm only here in New Jersey, but considering the fact that the podcast has introduced me to a ton of people all over the country,
Awesome.
whatever that you're looking to buy, I'm pretty sure that I definitely have a resource. So if you're looking to get your journey started, click the link in my bio. Get your journey started. Me and Jonathan are going to be able to help. There's a ton of resources. You'll find the podcast there. You'll find the other videos there. So that way you can get your journey started. And then Jonathan can at least set you up with money and find out how much, things are going to cost and what you need to do to prepare for you to get a mortgage.
Yeah. And one last thing, you're never gonna know everything before you jump in.
Nope.
Jump in, learn as you go. That's
I
the
learned that
only
the hard
way.
way. I
we,
continue to
we
learn
should
that on
have
the hard way.
a little video of little horror stories. But we don't want to scare people away. But we should
Nah, authenticity. We're putting it out there.
let's do it.
We're putting it out there.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll
'Cause
talk about it.
I have
Yes.
a few, but
Oh
we can discuss.
God, we talk about it all the time at dinner. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
We'll actually do that. All right,
we're
that
doing that.
works, man. All right, boss, take it easy. We still got work to do. Thank you everybody for listening. And then I'm gonna try to find out how to save the damn thing, but it'll be in the story at least for 24 hours. But check it out. You need to rewind, and then be safe, everybody out there.
Stay blessed. Have a good one.
All right, boss.